The rain had stopped, but the road still smelled of wet dust and broken promises. Engines roared past like indifferent thunder, each bike chasing somewhere important, somewhere alive. On the edge of that restless highway stood a small figure, barely taller than the handlebars of the motorcycles speeding by. His clothes clung to him, thin and worn, his shoes soaked and split at the seams. In his shaking hands, he held a rusted bicycle, its chain squeaking like it was crying for mercy. When he lifted his eyes, they didn't beg at first. They searched, and when he finally spoke, his voice was so soft it almost disappeared into the wind. "Buy my bike, sir. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The group of bikers slowed without fully knowing why. Maybe it was the way the boy stood so still, like he had already accepted rejection. Or maybe it was the words that hit harder than any crash. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days. Not yesterday, not last night. 2 full days of hunger, stretched thin by silence and pride. The leader of the group, a man in his early 40s with a beard touched by gray, pulled his bike to the side. He had seen hardship before, ridden past it countless times, sometimes helping, sometimes telling himself he would help next time. But something about this moment felt heavier, like the road itself was asking him to stop. The boy stepped closer, careful, as if sudden movement might scare them away. The bicycle was old, paint peeling, bell broken, one pedal bent inward. It was clearly his only treasure. He hugged it like a shield. His eyes flicked toward the bikes, then back to the ground. He didn't cry. That somehow made it worse. The bikers gathered around, engines quiet now, replaced by the soft hiss of cooling metal. One of them whispered that the bike wasn't worth much. Another reached into his pocket, ready to hand the boy some cash, and send him away. But the leader raised his hand. He looked at the child again and asked gently where his mother was. The boy pointed beyond the road, toward a cluster of half-built houses and crumbling walls. Places people forgot to look. As they walked, the boy pushed the bicycle beside him, its wheels wobbling with each step. He told them his name was Ion. He was 9 years old. His father used to ride a bike like theirs, a long time ago, before an accident took him away, along with the little stability their lives had. His mother worked when she could, cleaned houses, washed dishes, anything that paid, until sickness slowed her down. Then work slowed. Then food slowed. Pride was the last thing left, and even that was slipping through her fingers. The room they entered was barely more than a shelter. A single window let in weak light. The air smelled of damp walls and cold rice that had long been finished. On a thin mattress lay a woman, her face pale, eyes too big for her tired frame. She tried to sit up when she saw strangers, apologizing before anyone accused her of anything. The boy rushed to her side, explaining breathlessly that he was trying to help, that he didn't steal the bike, that he just wanted her to eat. Something cracked in the bikers then, not loudly, but deep inside. They had all chased freedom on the open road, equating speed with escape, power with purpose. Yet here was a woman whose world had shrunk to hunger and worry, and a child who was willing to give up the one thing that made him feel normal just to keep her alive. They brought food first. Simple food, but enough to make her hands tremble as she ate. The boy watched every bite like it was a miracle unfolding. When she finally smiled, weak but real, his shoulders relaxed for the first time all day. The leader felt his throat tighten. He asked questions he should have asked years ago of others like her. What happened? Who helped? Who didn't? The story spilled out slowly. After her husband died, promises were made and forgotten. Aid came once, then stopped. Employers found younger, healthier workers. Bills piled up like walls closing in. The sickness wasn't dramatic, just persistent enough to steal strength and dignity. No villain in sight, just a system that looked away. One of the bikers stepped outside, wiping his eyes. Another stared at the boy's bicycle leaning against the wall, realizing it represented more than metal and rust. It was childhood, independence, hope on 2 wheels. And this child had tried to sell it without hesitation. The leader made a decision that surprised even himself. He told the boy he would buy the bike, but not to keep it. He pressed money into the boy's hand, far more than the bike was worth. The boy's eyes widened in panic, thinking there must be a mistake. The man knelt, met his gaze, and said this was not charity. This was respect. For his courage, for his love. Then he pushed the bicycle back toward the boy. The boy shook his head, confused. The man smiled and told him some things are not meant to be sold, especially not dreams. The boy hugged the bike again, this time laughing through tears. But the story didn't end there. The bikers didn't just ride away with heavy hearts and good intentions. They stayed. They made calls. I had connections at a local clinic. Another knew someone who helped widows find steady work. They arranged treatment, small but crucial. They paid rent in advance so the fear of eviction would loosen its grip. They didn't promise forever. They promised now. And sometimes now is enough to change everything. Weeks passed, then months. The bikers came back, not as rescuers, but as friends. The mother regained strength. She worked again, slowly, carefully. The boy went back to school, riding that same old bicycle. Bell still broken, but joyfully ignored. He waved every time he saw a motorcycle, his smile bright enough to stop traffic. The leader changed. The road felt different after that day. Faster didn't mean freer anymore. Louder didn't mean stronger. He started stopping more often, listening more carefully. The group began organizing small rides not just for thrill, but for purpose, collecting supplies, sharing stories, reminding themselves why kindness mattered. Years later, on a sunny afternoon, they saw a young man fixing bikes by the roadside. His hands were confident, his posture proud. He recognized them instantly. He told them his mother was healthy now, that he wanted to work with machines, to fix what others threw away. He still had that bicycle, hanging on the wall of his small shop, a reminder of the day strangers chose to see him. As the bikers rode away, the leader felt something settle peacefully in his chest. He understood then that redemption doesn't always come from correcting past mistakes. Sometimes it comes from finally paying attention, from stopping when the world tells you to speed up, from hearing a quiet voice say, "Buy my bike, sir," and realizing it's not a transaction being offered, but a chance to become better. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that kindness can change lives in ways speed and power never will, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Kindness Talks. Because somewhere right now, on some forgotten road, someone is standing quietly, with hope in their hands, waiting for someone like you to stop.